This is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick, but not necessarily easy tips to help you to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Helen Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this. Hello and welcome to this episode where we are going to talk about parenting. Do not worry, I am not about to give you parenting tips. That is a whole bag of tricks that I'm not going anywhere near. And I am no more qualified to parent than any other parent is, so we're not doing that. This is not your guide to how to parent. This is your no bullshit guide to the experience of parenting. And I want to start by telling you something that I think is really important that people seem to miss. Parenting is a job. And it's like any other job. So we choose it for its rewards, but it's not something we should be expected to constantly skip about and love and enjoy every second. You wouldn't expect that from any other job. No matter how much you love your job, you are not going to spend every moment thinking, this is the best thing ever, I love this. Like any other job, it can be rewarding, fulfilling, educational, exciting, hilarious. Parenting is certainly an opportunity for personal growth. The benefits are huge. But like any other job, parenting is also frustrating, exhausting, worrying, anxiety-provoking, sometimes demoralising. It makes us question ourselves, it prods at our insecurities. It is all the things that any other job is. And we often miss that, I think, with how we approach parenting and how we think about how it fits into our lives, what we should be doing or thinking about it, how we imagine other people think about it. And the difficulty with parenting is, of course, that we can't just leave the job in the office. Now, there are lots of paid jobs where that is also a factor. We understand the idea of somebody not being able to switch off from work if they're doing something high pressured, if we talk about the extremes, if they're doing something perhaps in the emergency services and they bring home worries and concerns and difficult things they've had to deal with. People working a 9-to-5 office job, sometimes it's hard to switch off because they've been doing it all day. It's hard to just turn that switch. We understand that, and we understand that it's a problem, not being able to just switch off and relax. But we can't switch off from parenting, and that is the same problem. It's that mental overload of not ever being able to just say, I'm done for now. I don't want to think about that until the next time I have to think about it. I know that the concept of being a full-time mum has been questioned by a lot of people because, of course, you know, whether you're in paid work or not, you're a full-time mum. The mumming doesn't stop. It's just the other work comes and goes throughout the day. I think the reality is that parenting is a job, and some parents have that one job and other parents work additional jobs, like their paid jobs. But as we discussed in the last episode, everyone has 1,000,001 things going on in their lives anyway. The point is that if you are parenting and you never ever switch off from it, regardless of how many other jobs you're doing or how many other obligations you have, all parents have the same mental load because they are never able to switch off. And this is an issue. And taking a break from parenting is absolutely vital for our sanity, for our mental health, for our enjoyment of life, and for our ability to be decent parents. I say often to people that a holiday with the kids is not a holiday. I don't mean that a holiday with the kids is something awful. I've had many lovely holidays with my kids. But a holiday with the kids is a holiday from all your other jobs. But it's not a holiday from the parenting job. So if we're talking about taking a break and having an actual holiday, a break from work, that would be also a break from parenting. Being able to completely switch off, not having to think about it. And what that requires when you're a parent is being physically away from the children. So even if someone in the house is like, oh, I'll look after them, don't worry, I'll do this. If you can hear them, you still have the mental load. And you also need them to be with someone who you know can handle it. Obviously, we would always want our children to be with someone who's going to care for them well. But we want them to be with someone who can handle it so that they're not running to you saying, oh, sorry, can I just check? Oh, what about this? Oh, what happens if? We need to be able to switch off. Now, the pandemic has meant that we really have been at work 24/7. During lockdowns, if your kids have been isolating, you know, people working from home have been saying that if it's a new experience for them, they've been saying that they find it harder to switch off from work when work is in their house. And of course, as parents having the children around so much, we've had even less opportunity to flick that switch to, okay, they're with somebody else right now. I don't have to think about it. Now, if you were sleeping in the office, if you were working every waking hour and sleeping in the office with no break, people would get that that was an issue. They would understand that you're probably a little bit overwhelmed. They'd be a bit concerned. But unfortunately, we don't tend to give the same consideration to ourselves and others when it comes to parenting. And it really is, this is our mindset block alert for this episode, because we've somehow got it all a little bit tangled up. And there's now some kind of assumption that if you don't enjoy it all the time, you're not a good parent, or perhaps not even you're not a good parent, perhaps you're not doing it right or doing it well enough, perhaps you're not as good at it as other people. There's some really weird thought processes going on around parenting, because if we look at what it actually involves, how on earth would you enjoy every moment of that experience? It's just not possible. And just as not enjoying everything about your job doesn't make you a bad employee, not enjoying everything about parenting, that doesn't say anything about your parenting. That just says you're a sane human being. Now, the thing to remember is that as parents, of course, we're all self-employed in that role. We've chosen it, we're doing it. And the great thing about that is that it means we can choose what our success criteria is. We can choose what our goals are. So not only do we not have to enjoy every single second of it, or in fact, we don't have to enjoy any of it that isn't enjoyable, we can also choose what success looks like to us. Because again, so often that is something that unconsciously we allow society to impose on us, what it means to be a good parent. So if I had been going to do this episode like the guide to parenting, how to do it well, the first question you should have been asking me is, well, hang on a minute. Who's to say that your aims are my aims? I might have a completely different measure of success in parenting to you. And it's so easy to be judgmental and say, oh, well, she's not doing a great job, or he's not a brilliant parent. Well, that may be true by your measure. And of course, there are some legal basics we all have to adhere to in parenting, obviously. But it might be that the parent you are looking at has a completely different set of aims to you. and a different set of success criteria. You can decide what it means to be a good parent to your children. And of course, we have to remember that no matter what we decide and no matter what we're aiming for, we're not actually in control of the outcome anyway, because the children have agency over their own lives. So we only have so much control in any case. But at least we can remember that we don't have to buy into anybody else's success criteria. We don't have to enjoy anything about it that's not enjoyable. And we don't have to follow anybody else's rules for what it looks like to do it well. Apart from, as I say, our legal obligations to not neglect our children. But I don't think any of us are at that point. How to make it more enjoyable is entirely up to you. If you are finding that if you look at it clearly, there's a huge amount about it that you don't enjoy, then you have the choice to do things differently to make it more enjoyable. You have all the decisions to make, and the only thing that holds us back from making those decisions is what we imagine other people will think. But actually, other people are mainly busy being concerned about what they're doing and how to get more enjoyment out of what they're experiencing. The one thing we can say for sure for anybody doing any kind of parenting is that it is full on, relentless, no joke. Also, of course, hugely rewarding, otherwise nobody would do it. But let's be real about it. Let's not pretend that it is some kind of bouncing, happy, joyous, everyday thing. Let's be real about what it takes out of us and what we therefore need to put back into ourselves in order to do it well. And I've said this many times before, but when we do need a break, and we all need a break, and taking a break is the sensible thing to do, we often need to get creative with how that can be achieved. Not everybody is fortunate enough to have people who can look after their children, and not everyone is fortunate enough to be able to afford to have people who can look after their children. So I'm not saying that it's so easy, you just need to get over the mindset block. You do need to get over the mindset block, but there are numerous practical issues as well. But often there is a creative way around that, and it usually involves asking somebody for help and being willing to admit that we need that help and being content in the fact that that's normal and that it is a need for all parents to take a break from that job, in the same way that it's a need for all employees everywhere to take a break from their job. So I think it's really useful to think about parenting as a job. That might not resonate with you, but I know that when I think of it that way, it helps me to understand what I need, what is expected of me, what can be reasonably expected of me, and what outcomes I can expect. I don't expect day-to-day flowers and unicorns and, tremendous joy from every second. I do expect it to be a massively rewarding experience that is going to give me back everything I put into it. But I know that it's going to take a lot out of me as well. And I need to be mindful of that when I'm trying to figure out how to get the most out of my life and how the children can get the most out of theirs. So, with that in mind, until next time, be excessively kind to yourself when working and parenting and anything else. And remember to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment that you can out of all aspects of your life. Thank you so much for listening. It's great to have you along for the ride. If you enjoyed the episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave me a review. And don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are up. If you identified a mindset block during the episode and would like to work with me one-to-one, you can find out how in the show notes. See you next time.